What's up guys, Houndish here, and today it's Thursday, so Bungie are back with the TWID, this week in Destiny of course, and they've got some news updates. So, as always, we'll break down everything from the blog post today, as well as some additional things that Bungie have spoken about. We're just a few days away from the launch of Act 2 for Episode 1, so there'll be a small infusion of content next week, and naturally that will be a subject for the updates today. So as always guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and find it useful. If you do, a rating below helps us out, plus let us know your thoughts as always in the comment section, but now, let's get into it. And let's start out with some updates from Bungie here. Firstly, they said due to an issue where the Eager Edge perk could be activated under unintended circumstances, this perk has been disabled in Crucible and Gambit, but Eager Edge will be re-enabled once we've deployed a fix for the unintended behavior, which is currently scheduled during Act 2. So it's going to be a little while until we get that one, by the sounds of it. It might drop in an update next week, but possibly later considering Bungie say during Act 2. Not sure what the issue with that actually was. Let us know in the comments if you do, but somebody also said, when are you going to acknowledge the freaking quest tab blinking? That quest tab, man. D2 team simply said it's a known issue and they're looking into a fix. And otherwise, they've identified an issue where defeating Dread combatants is not correctly awarding XP and Glimmer, and they've got a fix coming in the next update. That's something else I hadn't noticed whatsoever, to be honest, but they are supposed to be dreadful, I guess, so that's one way of achieving it, but it'll be fixed soon. Plus, they've disabled the Titan's point contact cannon brace exotic in Crucible and Gambit due to an issue. And then as a reminder, Bungie announced a few days ago that for the next episode, Revenant, each act's entire story will be available to play as it launches instead of week to week. So if like this season we end up with 3 weeks of story every time an act drops, those should all essentially become available on day 1 of each of the acts. However, and there was a little bit of confusion about this, keep in mind, they note specifically that episode Echoes will continue to have the weekly story beats for Act 2 and 3. So this change won't be live in the game until Revenant, which will be dropping in October sometime. Most people are probably on board with that, but give us your thoughts in the comment section. Next up though, let's get on to the key sections of Bungie's TWID from today. And firstly, naturally, they speak about the upcoming content that we'll get in Act 2. So they talk about new battlegrounds in Echoes, where we'll journey to the center of Nessus with 3 new battlegrounds. And while unraveling the mystery of disappearing Radiolaria, we fight through hordes of enemies and powerful bosses as we track the source. With a continuing story, each battleground will start where the last one left off. So on top of being another seasonal activity right there is a narrative component to these, and they provide a couple of juicy images of what some of the bosses and things like that will look like, the environments, so those are cool. And otherwise, other big elements of Act 2, of course, are the new and returning weapons. So they say in Act 2, the highly popular rocket-assisted frame sidearm archetype will get its first solar entry, and of course that's with the Aberrant Action, which can get a whole bunch of interesting perks. It can get Heal Clip and Incandescent, but like the other weapons from Echoes, it carries that sort of Vex theme, which is cool. It's definitely going to be one of the more popular weapons that players will be going after next week, so looking forward to that one. But also, there is the Heavy Burst Pulse Rifle, which is Corasion, and Heavy Burst is a new archetype from Final Shape, of course. We now get an Arc one. And additionally, we'll see the return of Perfect Paradox as well, which is added back as one of the Season of Dawn reprisals with the Cast No Shadows origin trait, so looking forward to getting those new weapons. As well as the story, the activities, and indeed the artifact mods. We'll talk a little more about that in some upcoming content, but Bungie once again details some balance changes and adjustments to mods. So in addition to the new weapons and artifact, we have some additional balancing tuning that we're working on, and these are changes that they're looking to make in early August. I believe these will actually drop alongside Solstice of Heroes on the 6th of August, or at least that is the plan. And for abilities, they say they look to bring Swarm Grenade and Threaded Spectre into line, so a couple of inevitable changes right there for hunters, but also they're looking to increase Twilight Arsenal and Hammer of Soul damage versus bosses and mini-bosses, and I'm sure most Titans at least will agree that those are needed changes. Then, for armor, they say they'll be correcting an issue that allows swapping between regular armor mods and reserves mods to enable a higher ammo count than the current maximum, as this was never intended functionality, but they do plan to offset this by buffing the following ammo-related aspects. So, reserve ammunition for all weapon types has been increased by up to 15%, and so weapons with low reserves for their weapon type will get a larger buff. On top of that though, they are reducing the costs of reserves mods by 1. So some adjustments to mods there, and then finally for weapons, they're increasing Tex Mechanica scout rifle damage by 30% in PvE, which again is going to be a pretty significant change that will affect both the legendary and exotic variants, things like Deadman's Tail, or even the new scout rifle from this episode. I forget the name of it, but you know the ones. On top of that though, they're reducing flinch for sniper rifles by 50% versus combatants in PvE, so if snipers weren't already doing well enough, they're going to get that change in addition, and of course there are the new artifact bonuses which primarily focus on snipers, so there's that, and then they're increasing Ariana's Vow damage by 67% versus barrier shields. And having that be more effective against shields, obviously with that being one of the primary benefits of the weapon, is certainly a positive, and that's on top of the changes that I'd already seen at the start of this episode. Then finally, they're removing the stat penalties from Adept mods as well. So there are some really positive changes. One right here though, Bungie finally spill the beans, and there's a new update that they wanted to mention, and a change they're planning for Still Hunt. I'm not surprised they didn't talk about this in the stream, otherwise it would have absolutely dominated the chat. Here we go, but they'll be reducing Still Hunt's Golden Gun shot damage when paired with Celestial Nighthawk by 25%. And they say since launch, they've been monitoring the potency of this exotic and felt it needed a slight adjustment. And while hunters have the opportunity for some thematic tie-ins between Celestial Nighthawk, Golden Guns, and Still Hunt, this should help to reduce a bit of the damage disparity between each class, and between what should also be viable weapon alternatives. And they point out things like Whisper of the Worm, which will have a bit more opportunity to outshine this special exotic with upcoming artifact perks after the changes. And of course we're going to be able to apply a whole bunch of Scorch with these solar snipers, as well as getting the sniper rifle damage bonuses. And there was a lot of discussion about the fact that the artifact mods and things like that, which are coming in Act 2, are only going to make Still Hunt more potent. But I think adjustments to Still Hunt are pretty much, or have been, inevitable up until this point, given how powerful it is. And so it isn't a generic nerf to the weapon, but more of an adjustment to the interaction that it has with Celestial Nighthawk, which will still be beneficial, but not quite as strong as it has been up until now. So basically what I'm seeing is that they're saving the full nerf for the weapon until the start of episode 2 perhaps, I don't know. But I think that is probably fair enough, to be fair. And let us know your thoughts about it down below. Next up though, they talk about Havoc hardware in Crucible Labs, and next week they'll be hosting a new Havoc hardware mode in Crucible Labs. And Havoc hardware is like Mayhem but for special and heavy weapons, where players will be fully focused on their weaponry as abilities are disabled. So no abilities, but absolutely ridiculous amounts of ammo, and ammo crates will respawn rapidly and players drop more ammo. So they expect this game mode to be an all-out firefight in the Crucible realm, and this may be a nice place for Crucible-centric players to level their crafted weapons with an influx of ammo availability. But as usual, Guardians also have the opportunity to earn a bit more rep in Labs nodes, so Bungie say they'll be watching the chaos unfold next week, and I'm curious to see what that will be like. Give us your thoughts in the comment section as well. In the TWID though, they also talk about a new collaboration with Rec Room. Rec Room is a game that I honestly don't know much about, but they point out that this is a user-generated content gaming space, and the goal of bringing the epic world of Destiny 2 to a new generation of Guardians, where Rec Room players will have the chance to explore a meticulously recreated version of the tower and play a Destiny 2 Guardian Gauntlet. So there'll be a collection of avatar cosmetics based on 3 Destiny classes, and they say Hunter cosmetics will be available first, followed by Titan and Warlock looks in the near future. And Destiny 2 Guardian Gauntlet is launching today in Rec Room on all supported devices, so there'll be more information in the TWID, which I'll link below, as well as on recroom.com. Let us know if you guys have any experience of Rec Room down in the comment section. It's cool that there'll be some Destiny-themed content there as well. Plus there's a section where Bungie talk about the social media updates and news, especially the Bungie post on Twitter becoming available on Discord and Threads. So if you want to get notifications about Destiny updates via Discord, that's definitely something to look into, and again, the details are in the TWID, that's the one. But there we go guys, that's what we have to speak about today. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, a rating below very much helps us out. Also be sure to get subscribed to the channel, but otherwise I'll be keeping you posted with all of that Act 2 goodness next week. Keep it locked and loaded right here. And for now, I hope you guys have an awesome day.